Hello everyone, I'm Wakapeil and welcome to week 2 of our Spec Ops The Line discussion. Last week, Delta Squad decided to try to find Daniels. They heard a signal and intend to following it, knowing that it is very likely a trap. With me today, I have BenL72.
Hello.
Dinobull.
Hello.
And Fighterx93chipp.
Hello.
I heard in the Discord that you had some more trouble with these chapters than the earlier ones, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties.
Yeah, it was hard even on normal for real, like a little bit. Like I died a lot more. I found out squad mates can die too. This run. I don't know if you guys had this problem, but I had Adam running into a lot of things.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time running after them, trying to heal them.
Yeah.
You do realize that there are squad commands, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, but once they both go down, it's up to you.
Wait, is there more than... Okay, I might make an ass of myself here, but is there more than a squad command than just the one to, like, have them kill people?
You can tell them to heal each other.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know that one too. So, is there more than those two?
To be honest, I'm playing on the easiest difficulty, and we are just steamrolling everything, so I haven't even bothered using the commands.
Alright.
I've only found those two commands so far.
Okay. Yeah, those still aren't helping. Adam still wants to just dive in there sometimes and just get knocked over.
Yeah, both your team and especially the enemy forces are very aggressive in this game.
Yeah, and like Fighter, I've been playing on the hard difficulty and been dying a lot more this set of 4 chapters.
After seeing the opening scene of chapter 5, you see skyscrapers covered by sand on both sides, and you try to get down to ground level. You zip line between buildings and try to get down and closer to the signals where you hope to find Agent Daniels of the CIA. The very first zip line I took, I put down the controller and started making notes, which prompted Lugo to scream, "Get out of the way," and then he hit me in the back. I thought that was a nice touch.
Was that the start of chapter 6?
It was.
Yeah.
No, chapter 5.
No, chapter 5. My bad. Delta Squad suspects that the man on the radio is in charge. You kill a lot of soldiers trying to get closer to the signal. You move from rooftop to rooftop. You just get ambushed. When things calm down, you get ambushed again. You fall through a roof, which you might not even realize is a roof because it's covered in sand. You then fight a lot of more soldiers. I considered starting to take a death count, but I would need some kind of clicker or something. You kill so many in this game.
We're definitely in the hundreds at this point, right? Like,
Be.
Oh yeah, probably like pushing thousands by now, it feels like.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I think there's an achievement for killing 1,000 soldiers, and you will do that playing naturally.
I got a lot of kill achievements these last few chapters, just with like the different guns and all that.
Well, after a large fight on a roof, you go through a couple of corridors, then you open a door which opens a room filled with sand. You get swept away and fall down a skyscraper. It's a rather nice action scene. You don't have to do anything, but you fall down this skyscraper and end up in some kind of basement or between buildings. It's really hard to tell with all the sand everywhere.
And all alone for the first time. No squad with you.
Yeah. Which I'll say I kind of, the way it happened, but I was kind of like, why does this game not have co-op? And I guess it kind of makes sense that there's like segments like this.
Yeah, there's not a lot of times that you are alone, but
Okay.
considering how much emphasis they have on the story, it wouldn't make sense. It could have been a co-op game, but sometimes you are going to be alone. Like in this scene where you end up alone, you lose your rifle, you only have a pistol, and there's a lot of soldiers going after you while you wait for Lugo and Adams to arrive and save you.
Yeah, I was kind of confused at this part because I never picked up a Desert Eagle before, and I was like, where'd my other 2 guns go? I never have to grab a Eagle.
If you look around, there are weapons around, so you can pick up them before the fight actually starts, but and that's critical and the highest difficult setting.
You gotta be a little sneaky though to get them before everybody starts shooting.
Oh no, I just started shooting him on the highest difficulty and then got the weapons later. Kind of worked out, but
yeah, if you're playing on the highest difficulty available now, there's one more which is even tougher.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one with the issues I've faced so far.
Yeah, that'll be rough. I did die a few times here, but I was also trying to get the RTDL achievement, which was 4 shotgun kills in 10 seconds. So I did deliberately die a few times when it didn't work.
Oh, jeez.
I'm playing on normal and I died like 3 times. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I found that on easy I can put down my controller, take notes in the middle of a firefight, and usually still live when I pick up the controller again.
That easy.
Yeah, I think Philip Wendell's the one that said he was struggling right here so bad that the game told him to lower the difficulty or else you're just going to keep hating yourself.
Yeah, I saw that screen, I think 3 times over this set of 4 episodes. You've died multiple times in the same location. Are you sure you don't want to make it easier? No, I don't.
I think that is a nice feature since the story is the best part about the game. It would suck getting this far and get stuck. You can lower the difficulty and keep playing if you have to. After Lugo and Adams join you again, you find a corridor filled with dead bodies. You move a little further and find evidence of infighting between the 33rd with a lot of dead soldiers. You also find Daniels. Unfortunately, he isn't very well. He's been dead for quite some time and he's got some kind of radio in his mouth. As suspected, this was a trap. It was intended for Agent Gould. You're told this by the radio man. The 33rd surrounds you. Agent Gould shows up, distracts them, and you make a run for it. While you are fleeing, you get attacked by a helicopter.
That part was...
while the radio man is humming really weird.
That part... He's a psycho, dude.
Yeah, I thought Voss was pretty bad from Far Cry 3, but this guy's like setting the bar pretty damn high now. That was nuts.
Yeah.
And I managed to die several times running away from the helicopter on the harder difficulty. You've got to really get going.
Oh yeah.
I remember that part being a real pain on the highest difficulty.
I'm not looking forward to that.
As you said, the radio man does seem crazy. He is not completely nuts. He seems to still be able to have control over the 33rd. He does say a lot of really strange things, but he seems to not be completely out there.
Yeah, he's still a little crazy though.
After the helicopter attack, there's a short quiet time with Adams and Lugo. Adams is suspicious of the CIA. Lugo and Walker decide to trust the CIA. Gould tried to help them while the 33rd has tried to kill them at every turn. You also walk through some rather cool looking environments.
Oh yeah.
There are some really nice looking buildings and interesting design choices.
That aquarium bit was kind of cool. Is that what you're talking about?
And there are several really nice environments in all during these chapters that I really enjoyed. You can tell this was a AAA game at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You get out of the buildings and onto some kind of road. It's difficult to tell with the sand everywhere. And there's a fight with Gould leading some insurgents against a helicopter. They shoot it down, and there's a big explosion. It's a nice set piece where they demolish most of a building.
Yeah, I was trying to find the intel right there, so I was running off to the right and left and wasn't paying attention to that, just to find out that I was supposed to go to the right to go down a zipline and miss that whole scene.
Yeah, it's difficult when you, in games, when the developers intend you to pay attention to something, most players will certainly be looking at the wall or something else that's not as interesting. You move down the road, and you find a lot of bodies hanging from streetlights. And when I say a lot of bodies, there are dozens of them. It's a really creepy scene.
And also it's creepy if you die near this part, the loading screen actually has that too. Which I imagine you guys playing hard might have seen this. But, like there's just like bodies like
quite a few times.
Bodies just flinging around on the loading screen.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty neat addition. I only really saw about 2 bodies hanging. I didn't realize that there was even more. Yeah. So when I saw that loading screen, I was like, oh man, there's a bunch. And then the second time I looked, I was like, okay, there's quite a few guys hanging around here. This is eerie.
You fight a bunch of soldiers again to get through the stretch of road until you find a trench of dead or dying insurgents. They're not a threat to you, and I just walked past them. Well, I did that every time I played this game. But you can mercy kill them if you choose to. The 33rd drops white phosphorus on the insurgents in front of you, which is not very nice stuff. It's basically some kind of weapon that keeps burning, and you can't put it out.
I was tripped out on this part at first. I didn't realize what had happened completely. Like it took me a minute to like actually like process like just everybody burning and shit.
Yeah, they tell you what is going on and that you should stay away from the burning people. They are crawling around and will die soon. It looks very painful.
Yeah, I was kind of confused. It looked like they set off some fireworks or something, and I didn't realize it was, phosphorus coming down. I thought it was like, an electrical box exploding, and then it was burning these people.
Yeah, I would have no idea what it was unless they had specifically told you what was going on.
Yeah, I had to go through that scene a good 5 or 6 times because the big enemy at the end was not going down as easily as I'd hoped.
Yeah, this is the first time you encounter one of the heavily armored enemies. They take a lot of fire even playing on easy. There's like 2 or 3 clips of the automatic weapons.
Yeah, I got through the first one quite easy. I must have got lucky, but the second one I had a lot more trouble with.
See, I had the opposite.
Yeah, I had the opposite as well.
The opposite thing happened there. First one, like, maybe just because it took me by surprise, but I got demolished by him the first time.
Yeah, when you talk about the second one, I don't think you actually have to fight them, but it sounds like when you caught up to Gould, you decided either to help him or you got caught sneaking away from there. This is a part where it's very obvious that there is a player choice. You can choose either to rescue Gould or a few civilians that are being held hostage. When you find Gould, he is together with a civilian who is being tortured by having a automatic weapon unloaded just beside her head while Gould is being questioned. And even when Gould tells, well, he can't be sure if he is telling the truth or not, but he does mention that Agent Riggs is planning an attack on the Aquatic Colosseum. But the 33rd is not happy with that answer and decides to shoot the civilian before they start to torture Gould for more information. At this point, did you try to save Gould or did you go for the civilians?
I tried to save Gould, which also, I just want to say, I thought his name was like Ghoul. like until his name popped up like on the screen.
Yeah, I did the same. Thought it was mission critical to try and save Gould.
Yeah, same here as well. I tried saving him compared to the civilian since he was, the objective.
Well, do you remember your objective?
Well,
I guess none of us followed
not the overall objective, but
Get in, find the source of the signal, get out, report. That was the mission parameters. They're not doing a very good job of following orders. Since you tried to save Gould, you get some more information from him while he is still alive. If you choose to save the civilians, you do not have to fight in this area, I believe. I think you can just... you save the civilians and then you go back to Gould and he is already dead. But on him you find information about an attack on the gate, which is the next objective, to find the gate and take it away from the 33rd.
I don't know if I took too long on the fight, but I didn't get very much out of Gould because he died during the firefight. But still found that map, so progressed the story.
Oh, yeah, I think he dies for everybody, right? Like
He does, but
okay.
He does, but you can talk to him before he dies, I believe.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I remember talking to him after saving him, but I might be misremembering.
I think you might be, because I remember that when you finally finish the firefight and get to him, that one of the guys is doing CPR on him, trying to get him back, and he's already far gone.
During the fight, I think I heard him say a few things like, "Forget about me, get to the gate," but that was about the limit of it.
Yeah.
But I was busy dying at the time, so...
After taking care of Gould, Lugo and Adams get into a fight. They are not very happy. This mission is taking their toll on them. Walker breaks up the fight. You get a bit further and you hear the radio man celebrating the death of Gould and promises Riggs and Delta Squad are next. At this point you find the gate. You also find a white phosphorus cannon. Lugo does not want you to use it, while Adams and Walker decides to use it anyway. This is not a player choice.
Okay.
You have to do this to progress.
I'm glad it wasn't, because I kind of just went straight for it, and I was like, I'm gonna be fucked up if like this is a player choice.
No, this is critical for the rest of the story, but this is a bad scene. You drop white phosphor onto the 33rd until you eventually get to the very back of the cannon's range, where you drop a final bomb that burns up many civilians.
And you can kind of tell too, right? Like before you drop it, I don't know if you guys like thought this, but like when you go back to that last one, just the way they're positioned is I don't know, it's different than everybody else. So
it's very different, and they do not seem organized at all. They are just clumped together in a trench. It doesn't look like soldiers.
So I was scared it was going that way to begin with, and I'm like, oh.
No, I didn't get that at all. I just assumed it was a whole mob of soldiers ready to rush out and attack me, and so it came as a complete surprise when I walked round that corner.
Yeah, I'm kind of both, like Dinobull and BenL. At first I thought it was possibly civilians because it was a big group of people, but then I assumed it was soldiers since we were, ambushing them kind of thing.
There's a lot written about this game, and this scene in particular is very infamous. There is Kotaku had a Marine play through this game, which is I thought was a fun idea, but there's a fun interview with him regarding this scene while he is playing it, so I'm just going to read it. "Oh, and now I'm dropping white phosphorus on friendlies. Did you immediately give the order for that? No, I tried holding out. I had a choice? Technically, but the enemies infinitely respawn and you have no means to refill ammo. And now I have to walk slowly through the wreckage and wounded from my white phosphorus attack. Fan-fucking-tastic. Oh, wait till you get to the underpass of the bridge where you bombed the last Humvee. And I murdered civilians. feel-good game of the century. Which is sort of my thoughts regarding this scene.
Yeah, it was quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
I kind of like that they made you walk through it, though. I kind of like that choice.
When they were focus testing this game, they had the problems with many of the players getting to this part, and when they got to the end and saw the civilians, they put down the controllers and refused to keep playing.
Oh, wow.
They had a hard time deciding whether to tone this down or not, and I think in an interview someone basically said, nah, let's keep it, this is art.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Hey, I'm glad they didn't tone it down.
Yeah, I'm glad as well.
I agree. Like, I feel like I haven't finished the game, so I'm not gonna call it art, but I do feel like art should be separated from like this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, you should be allowed to do like this kind of stuff with that.
Yeah, this is very intense. You kill a lot of innocent civilians basically by burning them to death, and then you walk through all their corpses.
But it's not tasteless. Like, it makes you feel bad about it. Like, it'd be one thing if you did that and then it's like, oh, fuck it, you just killed all these people or whatever. But like, they make you feel bad for doing it.
Yeah, and Delta Squad is not happy about the situation at all.
Yeah, I think the hardest part about that whole scene was the very end of it, where it shows the mother holding their daughter or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty it's pretty rough. You know, being a father myself, you know, seeing that it almost got to me, but that was pretty difficult.
Yeah, this scene it is probably the most in your face in this game. I'm not going to tell you what happens from here. I'm just going to say that it's not going to get better. But I think you've already figured that out.
Yeah, but as they say, I'm glad they didn't tone it down, because if you're going to make a film or a game about the horrors of war, you have to show the horrors of war.
This was a big risk for 2K, who published this game. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off. This game really bombed. It sold less than 250,000 copies during its first year. A lot of people has played it since then. Critics really like this game, and I really like it.
I was gonna say, like, so it'll always be remembered. Like you say, it didn't pay off money wise, but like it's always gonna be remembered probably.
Yeah, and it's a word of mouth thing. I've heard 3 or 4 different people saying I ought to play it. It's always been on my list for a while, and it was only this game club that made me get round to it, but I would have played it anyway.
Yeah, and as I said in the beginning, that you might not like this game, but you will not feel indifferent about it.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at a lot of the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare posts, and people are like, oh, so it's going to be like Spec Ops The Line? And, you know, it just gets me more excited to play through the story and understand what they're talking about finally.
Yeah, and we are right now we're at the halfway point, more or less. The scene ends with a mother clutching her child while Lugo and Adams are arguing. Walker simply states that he wants the 33rd to pay for what they've done.
Also, it almost like had like a breakdown there too, right? Because it was kind of like just like it focused on him and he was like kind of tearing up a little bit.
Yeah, they are obviously shaken from what they just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially before that part too. The guy rolled over and he's like, "Why would you do this? We were helping." And then he's like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Oh yeah.
And that's when they find the civilians. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where it really hit him. Then he saw the mother and child, and then he just broke down just about.
Yeah, at this point, the tone from Delta Squad gets a lot more aggressive as they storm the gate in a very aggressive manner. They don't hold back, they just run up a hill and murder everyone.
And there's honestly, the beginning when I was talking about Adams, this is the part I was mostly talking about. I don't know why, but there was a section in this chapter where Adams just kept running into like just fire. And I had to heal him so many times.
Yeah, which is funny since he is in the cutscenes the more professional one.
I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, he did have a death wish going on.
Yeah.
You storm the gate, killing everyone, and then you find Conrad's command team. and they've been burned to death with white phosphorus as well. Not by you, but by someone else. At this point, Walker is contacted by Conrad. Conrad was the leader of the 33rd Battalion. Conrad claims that he dealt with a mutiny, and that is how Chapter 8 ends. Next week we will play through Chapter 9 to 12.
I just want to say I called it.
Yeah, he is in charge after all.
It took a while for him to make himself known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I started doubting myself this playthrough. I was like, maybe I made the wrong call, but in that chapter, I was like, I knew it.
Have you been reading the collectibles text?
I listened to there was one where he was I think it was him getting interrogated, right? I think there was one I got where it sounded like Conrad. I might be wrong, but like he was like something about like the knives didn't hurt that bad, but then the fire, like that's what got to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I don't think that was Conrad, but I know what you're
Conrad?
talking about.
I don't think so.
I don't
He was just
think so.
labelled the interrogator.
Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't.
Oh,
Conrad.
like, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I remember the story, though. It said, like, something about fire and then almost made me flinch or something like that, I believe.
Yeah, it was what was the phrase? Once my flesh started to melt, I'd have thrown my mother under a bus to make it stop.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that one resonated.
Yeah, so we're leaving Delta Squad in a very happy place.
Yeah.
And we will see what further adventures await them next week. Do you have any ideas where the story is going?
Down.
We had to kill them to save them.
Yeah, down.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any clue now. I have no guesses.
Yeah, I'm still completely lost. It's like, I think I'm starting to understand it, and then it turns, and I have no idea where it's going now.
As I said before, I did not mind playing through this 2 times, because with the information you have after playing it the first one, it makes much more sense.
Yeah, plus I'll play with a guide next time so I can get all the collectibles and everything, so I'm glad I can play it freely the first time.
Well, I think that's one of the good things. You do not know where this is going. You hardly have a grasp on the situation at all the first time you play through it. And I was at least very interested in where the story was going from here.
The way Waka's talking, I feel like this is going to get like super confusing. I feel like there's about to be like, I don't know. We're going to have like twist upon twist going on here.
That might be the case, but I can tell you that at the end, this will not feel confusing anymore.
Okay.
There are multiple endings, and I feel all of them are very well made, which is unusual when you choose to have multiple endings.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Shouts out to Mass Effect 3.
Telltale Games.
By the way, Waka, I don't think you actually said what chapters we're playing next week, because someone else was talking.
And next week we will play through chapter 9 to 12. So we will end when the title card for chapter 13 shows up. Thank you, BenL72,
Thanks.
Dinobull,
Yep, thank you.
and Fighterx93chipp
You're welcome. Thank you.
for joining me. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
See ya.
Why? You brought this on yourself. We were helping. What?